Hello, my friends. It's day 12, Courageous Casey's ministry, 10 minutes or so of just me sharing my heart and what's going on in the world and my eyes and my heart. So tonight I had my first class, my Buddhism class, which was really just a wonderful experience and brought back so many memories. I'm getting my master's degree in consciousness studies. And back, I found it. This is my little mindfulness training certificate under the tradition of Thich Nhat Hanh, who was a Zen Buddhist. Back in 2003, in April, I took refuge in the three jewels, which are the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and the 5 mindfulness trainings. And there are actually more like 14, but I was actually, certified to and acknowledged and given a Dharma name. So my Dharma name is Solid Compassion of the Heart. And I think that's really relevant to this video series and what I'm sharing. And I'm just really, fascinated because I have found that, so that was 17 years ago. And I studied some Tibetan Buddhism after that. And tonight, my professor really talked about the major schools of Buddhism. And just like Christianity or other religions or philosophies, there are several different schools and sects. Like Christianity has Protestant and Lutheran and Methodist and different beliefs and different aspects. Buddhism has that as well. And I was really curious and kind of looked into it a little bit after our class, like what's the difference between like Zen meditation, mindfulness meditation, and Vipassana. Vipassana is a little more traditional. And what I found is that it really makes sense to me looking back in hindsight that I have been gravitating towards mindfulness. And I've taught mindfulness to adults, to kids, to families for many years now, because mindfulness is simply being present with your body, with your breath, and with the moment. So it's this observation, it's this being. And Thich Nhat Hanh, he used to say, breathing in, I am breathing in. Breathing out, I am breathing out. And it's this very present moment energy. And I personally like to think of that as kind of like that right brain side, like that kid energy, that feminine energy of just being present in the moment. Vipassana meditation, many people do like a 10-day Vipassana retreat. And Vipassana means insight. And I am familiar somewhat with Vipassana, but I have never really dove in and studied and gone down that route. There's some really famous different Vipassana and insight centers throughout the United States of many people meditating. And the way I'm interpreting this is not, this is my interpretation, this is my conversation. The Buddhists actually like debate. They really believe that people debate the various different teachings to find their own way, because that's what the Buddha recommended. He was like, here's my teachings, interpret it for yourself. So it's not really a doctrine that this is the way it is. And I like to think of Vipassana because it's more like insight is like seeking that wisdom. So I meditate, I notice what's happening, or I'm mindful and I see this, and it takes me here. It's like going from point A to point B. And I think of that as more of a left logical, brain side, or more masculine type energy. And it makes sense that as Westerners, like, we can really vary. We've got the very linear left brain people in this world, which I think the US very much is. And we've got the very right side, creative, caring, compassionate, more present moment energy on the right side of our brains. And what I really found fascinating tonight, as we were studying and listening to our teacher and being reminded of the three jewels, that the Buddha really means to awaken. It's like to wake up from the suffering, because that's what Buddhism teaches. It's like there's suffering, Not that life is suffering, but suffering is present. We are all experiencing hardship and suffering, right? Especially right now, we know that. And that, the Four Noble Truths are that there's an acceptance of it, that there is a way out of it. There's a path out of it. So the Dharma is the teachings of the Buddha, the teachings of the path. And then the Sangha is really the community. And in my mind, the Eastern philosophies, religions, they have community. They have they live together. They practice together. And over here in the West, we're like, me, mine, army of one. I'm going to do it all by myself. And look what's showing up in our world. Like, how can we work together more? And I think this is really prevalent for me in this life right now. Like, I'm home by myself a lot, like working, like my office and my yoga space and my workout space, everything is like right here in this one space, because we've kind of created this very isolated world. Everybody lives in their boxes here in the United States. And I know in many other parts of the world too, but Sangha is like the family. So I really have been kind of thinking back to when I practiced in a Sangha and practiced meditation in a group where we sat together and we did walking meditation. And my friend had a really amazing labyrinth on her property that we walked. So what I find is just really fascinating, though, is I'm so grateful that these teachings of mindfulness have made their way from the East to the West, because we need them. And that's why they're here. We need to learn how to accept this present moment, right? If we are fighting the fact that the coronavirus is here, the economic struggles are here, if we're not like in this acceptance, we're resisting it, what we resist persists, we can't get through it. But if we can accept that this is what is, and how can we work together? How can we be together? How can we find stillness or equanimity or peace within ourselves so that we can move forward in a more peaceful way? Because when we're in our rage, or when we're in our denial, we're out using our substances, whether that's a Netflix addiction, right? Or alcohol or exercise or workaholic, or, just some kind of numbing, some kind of way of not being present with that uncomfortableness, we're not going to get very far. We have to sit with our suffering, with our pain. And I did a video last week, right? Like, suffering's optional, pain is inevitable. That's this concept. Like, yes, there's suffering, but it doesn't have to stay with us. And I'm getting clearer and clearer on my own path of like, I feel like I say it, I don't mean to say it flippantly, but I really did like hate everything. And now I love everything. And like, what a transformation that is. And I'm not saying that at all to brag in any ways. Like, I've done the work, I've put in the time and energy. And I'm not saying I don't get mad or have extreme emotions or issues, because I'm human and I do. But I just keep practicing. It's like that beginner's mind. We get to start again and again. How can I be mindful? Okay, this situation showed up. It wasn't so great. Now what? Guess what? I can breathe. And that's also one last thing I'll share is that something that sometimes people say is a difference between like Zen meditation or mindfulness and Vipassana meditation is that mindfulness is more of a deeper belly breath and, full body breath. And Vipassana may be more focusing on the breath in the nostrils. To me, it's just a different location. And I personally really don't think that logistics matter unless you're going to become a serious, dedicated, practitioner, meditator. And then again, that's just like I've talked about on other videos. It's like, can we get too stuck in our path? Like, how can we be open-minded? How can we be open-minded to many different ways of being? Like, we're in a world right now where our racial inequality is showing up. Like, how can we be open-minded and go, wow, I didn't see that perspective because I've been conditioned. I have these grooves in my brain and my mind of this is the lens I see. We know that rose-colored lens. Well, what if it's a blue lens and a green lens and a rainbow lens? And what if it's different? than we think it is. Because we haven't figured it out, right? Nobody has. Like scientists, nobody can explain why we're on this planet or how our minds really work, or it's all this big fun mystery, right? So all right, I think that's enough of me, but I would love to hear from you. What is your experience with meditation or with mindfulness or practicing or even just slowing down and breathing, being in the moment? And how has it helped you? Like, what benefits have you seen? And how does that show up? How can you share that with someone? How can you share this video with someone that may be experiencing a lot of stress, who wants to open up their minds a little bit and try something new and different, and maybe they'll get a different result, right? So that we're not living in that definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Yeah, we all know that story, right? It doesn't work very well. So, all right, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for being present in the moment. Namaste, which really means the light in me, or the divine in me sees the divine and light in you. So namaste. And I like to add the play, because you know what? Play and have fun in the moment. So have a great moment. Bye.